Hey, what's up, family? Welcome to Ask to My Aunts.
where we challenge you to stop playing and start pushing.
This right here is my lovely wife, Aiyana.
And this right here is my oh so cutie pie pootie wootie, my baby, my husband, Ayize. All right, guys. We have a question that has come in, and we're going to go ahead and answer it. Want to thank you for your patience as we get through your questions. And I also want to shout out that starting on either this week or next week, we're not sure, so we'll let you know. We will be answering questions and kind of doing some free flow on Facebook Live, and so we'll put out information when we do that. Ain't that right, Boo? Yeah. Facebook Live. My husband was just telling me early, so he didn't know I was going to say that.
Nope.
He was just telling me early, we need to get back to being spontaneous. I gave you some spontaneity right there.
You did,
I just
man.
scheduled you for a Facebook Live session of answering questions. Okay, so here we go. Help! My husband and I are going on 11 years together. I'm starting to digest or realize there has always been this frustrating, annoying, anger-building issue that I keep communicating. And it is that we are not communicating and growing and building, but just waking up each day. Am I spitting on you, babe?
No.
Oh, waking up each day with the same superficial questions about taking care of the kids, bills, etc., but no growth. Most importantly, no intimacy. We've seen counselors, church mediators, no improvement. My husband keeps saying, I know I'm not a good communicator, or I know I have some issues with communication, but he won't push through and try. I've tried all the approaches, be sweet, be forward, be quiet and listen, and he takes them all as messages to just sweep stuff under the rug and start the routine again like all is well. It has been 10 years of the same thing. I'm getting really tired and losing fight, while he still remains to see that we're good and we are far from good. I've been doing a lot of work trying to fix me and I've come a long way, but now in my marriage, I'm not seeing the purpose of being together. I've always been a deep thinker, thinking outside the box, city girl, and my husband is a man who never meets a stranger. Everyone loves him, kind of country boy, but every relationship he has stays on a superficial level. He doesn't understand intimacy, and I'm starting to feel like he's comfortable with that. I'm so not. How do you get someone to communicate who doesn't understand how to, or how to get connected to what that means? I married a little older, so part of me says with a 7-year difference, he's got to know. But even with his daughter from a previous relationship, I have to let him know. I have to tell him, hold on, to stop treating her like a baby and talk to her. She's almost 18. She kind of repeated some stuff. He really doesn't get it. I don't know whether he's choosing avoidance or he just really does not get it at 42 years old. I love him, but I'm ready to put in the work to have a better relationship. I'm now wondering if he'll ever be able to meet this crucial need that I have. Please help. I don't want to divorce, but my end of the rope is getting smaller and smaller.
Well, I feel like during the entire time that you were reading that letter, you were yelling in my ear. You were.
Why didn't you tell me a little bit earlier? All right, so this is a woman who's written in, and she seems to be very, very, very much at the end of her rope. So I kind of want to defer to you to kind of start out this answer because, she's talking about this brother, and I know that you have some familiarity with men, and you may even identify on some level yourself who, have talked about like not having a lot of friends, maybe they're staying, at least that's what she thinks, staying on a superficial level. There's no intimacy because she's talking about no intimacy with their relationship. She doesn't see it with the family members, and she doesn't see it with people in his life, and it's just superficial. It's kind of hard though when you're talking about the other person, and she said she's been working on herself, but I don't know what exactly she's been working on, and if you've been working on it as much as you think you have. But
Yeah. So that would be one thing that I would lift up. Not really. I don't want to shift the focus back toward you, but you did ask for some help in reference to how to deal and how to negotiate, your husband and help him get through this space. I think that it's important that you understand when it comes to engaging men. First and foremost, what's required is a paradigm shift, a perspective shift as it pertains to your understanding of men and how they engage in relationships. I think that it's important that you know that men do communicate. Men do communicate. But one of the things that's required in order for us to be willing to communicate is a certain level of comfort. And so, we oftentimes experience that comfort when it comes to relationships with, our male friends, our male counterparts, sometimes even with female counterparts, where we feel like there may be no judgment, no criticism, no attacks, no ridicule based off of the things that we say. So, first and foremost, there has to be a level of comfort in a relationship in order for a man to feel like what I got to say should be said, and he also wants to feel like what I got to say won't be attacked. It'll be validated, understood, and even if it's not understood, at least respected when it's said. If that comfort isn't present, if he doesn't feel like you're going to respect, validate, and at least receive what it is that's being said, then more than likely he won't be willing to open up. And so you did mention that when it comes to him communicating, you kind of alluded to the fact that there seems to be a low emotional intelligence with your husband. And what I was saying in reference to that,
What does that even mean?
yeah, I mean, sometimes guys really aren't in touch with their feelings. And not just guys, but people in general, depending upon, what your historical experience has been.
But women tend to be a little more in touch than men.
Yeah, you may block, you may shut down, you may repress, you may suppress and deny whatever emotions you might possibly be feeling because it's too painful to confront or even to step into a space of vulnerability and be willing to explore, confront, and express whatever those emotions are. So when it comes to just relationship dynamics, it's not as easy as you might like for it to be for men to really get in touch with that warm and fuzzy type stuff because we ain't used to doing that. We're not conditioned to necessarily engage in those types of relationships where we're just open, vulnerable, and expressing and exposing ourselves. Again, a part of our responsibility is to protect everything that's around us. But in order for us to learn how to protect what's around us, first and foremost, what we learn how to do is to protect ourselves. So we protect what's going on internally, and we shield that from the outside world, which in some degree it gives us an advantage, an edge, because we don't get caught up in some of the details that might ordinarily get people caught up in, women in particular. We're able to negotiate and just move through certain things because we're not focused on the emotional entanglements. We just execute. But when it comes to being in intimate partner relationships, that's where it serves as a disadvantage. Because while it may have been protection in the beginning, the reality is that this is supposed to be the person that you don't necessarily need protection from. This is supposed to be the person that you're supposed to open up and be vulnerable with. And not just this person, but with your children too. So, again, in terms of helping you out, the first thing that I would say is, again, just make sure that you're trying to make them feel comfortable. And when I say comfortable, again, making sure that you're willing to receive. And I would also say, too, continue to push. Continue to hold him accountable because even in his discomfort, he has to be willing to reconcile those differences and that agitation, that frustration that comes from having these conversations. But you got to keep putting it on the table. And if you refuse to do so, I mean, he'll never confront that. He'll never be willing to adjust and deal with that stuff because it's not necessarily the paradigm that he operates from. So again, he needs to be comfortable. But in order for him to be comfortable, you need to make sure that you establish a safe space for him to be able to communicate. And if he's unable to communicate, then I would say continue to lift it up because you don't want your displeasure in a relationship to become a place where you're just comfortable, just dealing with and just selling for the way he's, doing things because you're not getting your needs met.
So the only thing that I'll add and emphasize is that my husband talked about the facts that he talked about the fact that the comfort that is required for him, meaning your husband, to be more vulnerable, because that's what we're really talking about, vulnerability, can only happen when he feels safe. Mm-hmm. So if you want him to be comfortable, he has to feel safe. That doesn't mean that you necessarily, talk a certain way or show up a certain way all of the time. Safety for him may not be any of the things that you have done. And you talked about the fact that you've tried different approaches, but I don't know if you've ever asked him, what makes you feel more comfortable to, just kind of let your guard down and open up. And I really want to know because I realize, I think in your letter you said it's been 10 years of marriage. I don't really have that formula. I don't really know what's in that equation, and I want to know. Mm-hmm. And you're really coming from a genuine place. So safety, you got to make sure that safety is there. And the only other thing that I would say to you is this. Focus on yourself more than you focus on him. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. But when we are genuinely focused on not just changing a situation, but doing what we can to change ourselves, change agents, change first. If you want to change your relationship, you want to change your husband, you can't skip yourself. And you say that you've done a lot of work. But what I would say to you is that if it's been 10 years of marriage, certainly the length of time that you've been together, I don't know how long you all have been working on this, but the fact that you attracted this man, the fact that you brought someone to you who was not a person who could easily get in touch with their relations, their feelings, all of that kind of stuff, there was some buy-in that you had to that in the beginning. It's, this didn't just all of a sudden happen. And so my thought is that you have participated in this dynamic before you got married, and now that you are married, and so all of a sudden at some point you realize, hey, this is not cool, and so you started to develop and evolve. But at one point in time, you all were on the same path. You were fine with that superficiality too, and you were cool with staying on the surface. Now you've gone a little deeper. You want him to hurry up and turn it around and do the same thing. And so what you've got to realize is that, we say for better or for worse. And that means that if you evolve and grow in some area and your partner has not gotten there yet, it doesn't mean you abandon them because all of a sudden you get brand new because you got some insight. It means that you stay the course. It means that you focus on how you can become all that you need to become. And what is your marriage attempting to teach you? What is your situation attempting to grow in you? Because as you grow and as you are taught and you focus on your own growth and not what you're not getting, I guarantee you, he will be able to feel that, and he will be healed by that in ways that you would never, ever even realize or think could happen. And then from there, you'll start to see some of what you want to see. Because that genuine change, not changing what you do so you can get a different outcome, but changing your internal stuff, changing on the inside so that you genuinely come out looking another way to your husband. He will be able to tell the difference between that. Focus on yourself. Cut him some slack. When you do that, then you will begin to see some remnants of change. It won't be easy, but this marriage thing ain't easy. Don't get all the way brand new because you got some insight now. Be there for him. Challenge him. Hold him accountable. And remember to make it a safe space. At the end of the day, you won't be able to do any of these things. If you don't, stop playing
and start pushing.